This is the 411. And if I could only use one tool with all of my agents, it would be this one. Helps my agents stay very intentional and focused on the activities that they need to do every single week in order to stay on pace to live the life that they want to live. So here you can see that I have broken down business goals, financial goals, personal goals, as well as growth or leadership. We are going to figure out what are the goals they want to hit for this year. And oftentimes there's other conversations that we have before this, like a motivational interview, which I have another video on, their lid exercise, their needs analysis. I'm putting all of those things together and helping them come up with solid 1-year goals that we are going to track. My goal for them is to not fill all of these boxes. So just because there's white space doesn't mean you need to fill it. And I always like to see 1 or 2 personal goals and at least 1 growth goal, because I believe that you cannot exceed your level of personal development. From those year goals, we are going to break it down into monthly. So every single month, we're redoing this section of the 411. This is because you might want to hit 100 units at the end of the year, but there's going to be some ramp up and there's systems that you might need to put in place or people that you need to hire. So every month you may have different goals to help you get closer to making that big goal for the year happen. There's also some goals that might remain the same, and that's completely okay. It just depends on where you're at in your business, what systems you have in place, and what ones you need to grow. What I do with my coaching clients is I do help them really nail down what are the most important activities we need to do this month in order to get you closer to this business goal. We only fill out 1 week at a time, and that's because life happens, things change. No one's perfect, and so there may be a week where they got some of their activities done, but not all of them. So then some of them will have to shift into week 2. So we meet once a week for 30 minutes and figure out how are we doing on the yearly and the monthly, most importantly, the weekly, and what do we need to do differently next week to make sure that we're still on pace to hit our month goal. So I'm going to go ahead and just use one as an example. Let's say I have an agent and they want to make $200,000 in gross commission income for the year. In business, actually, I would probably put that over here if I'm completely honest in financial. Let's say they want to sell 30 units. No, 50 units to make that happen. And let's say they have a personal goal of they don't want to work more than 50 hours a week. And for growth and leadership, they want to have a consistent morning routine. For the month, I might ask them, have they already been able to successfully close 50 units before? If they have, then it's okay, great. What was working? What are we going to keep doing this year? If they closed 40 last year, it's what are we going to do differently this year to get you from 40 to 50? And so let's say this person wants to implement a social media strategy. So they're going to build a social media plan. That's where they got to start, is building the plan to secure more leads. And we also know, if we do some quick math in knowing for seasonality, we're going to look at, all right, so then the goal is to get 4 closed units this month. For week 1, I am going to say that the very first thing that they need to do is they need to schedule a meeting with Red Banana, who is going to help them come up with the social media plan. No shame plugging that in. And I'm also going to start asking them, well, what's in your pipeline? Is 4 units attainable this month? And then I'm also going to go back to their lid exercise, and I'm going to go back to their economic model, and we're going to see how many listing appointments do they need per week and how many conversations do they need to have. So for the sake of this example, let's just say they need to have 100 contacts and they need to set 2 listing appointments every week, and they need to set 1 buyer appointment every week. As far as financial, we know how much commission income they need to make. It does tie into their unit count, contacts, scheduling that social media. So I don't think for this example, I need a specific weekly goal. For the monthly target, it might be that they make, depending on their average sale price, they need to make $25,000 this month to be on pace. But I may not have a weekly goal for that one, because these activities here that I'm highlighting are going to move the needle for both of these goals. For personal, they want to work less than 50 hours a week. I am going to assign them for the month a delegate and elevate exercise because I need to know where are they spending their time and how can I help them delegate or just stop doing activities that are not generating them results, or that they could very easily hire somebody and pay them a lower dollar per hour so that way we can get their hours down but keep their income consistent. So I'm going to have them do their delegate and elevate exercise for the month, and for the week I'm going to tell them to schedule time for delegate and elevate exercise, because I would recommend scheduling at least 1 to 2 hours to really thoroughly do that. Then over here, we see that they want a consistent morning routine. So for the month, I'm going to give them a book recommendation. I want them to read The Miracle Morning. And I also want them to focus on this week. The very first thing that you have to do in order to start developing a better morning routine is to go to bed on time. Where I'm going to ask them, what time do you want to wake up in the morning? Say they tell me 6 a.m. I'm going to be like, great. Very first step this week, I just want you to practice going to bed on time. So practice going to bed at 9 p.m. And I might tell them I want them to read 2 chapters of Miracle Morning. And then the next week when we meet, I'm going to say, great, what did we accomplish last week? What hurdles did you face? What worked well? What didn't work well? And we're going to curate week 2 to get even more fine-tuned into what's working for them. So this is just a really great example of how we use the 411 to not overwhelm you. You don't have to read Miracle Morning in 1 week. You don't have to have everything figured out in 1 day. It's baby steps, intentional activities, and by the end of the year, your entire life can look completely different. So that's the 411. I'm Brittany Guiles, team leader with Keller of Central PA, and I help real estate agents grow businesses around their life so that way they can still have time to do activities that they love. So please reach out to me if you need anything. Comment below, send me a DM. I'm always here to help.